Well, it's a new week, and this is the 700 Club, and we're so glad you're here with us today. Well, it's a hot topic in Washington. An adult film star's story about her alleged encounter with Donald Trump in 2006. And this is 2018. That's a number of years ago. And this suddenly is a hot story. Well, how will the president's supporters react? Everybody wants to know.
Well, the Stormy Daniels interview came as conservatives are upset about something else that just happened in Washington, a huge new government spending bill. Jenna Browder brings us the story.
President Trump returned to Washington after his weekend at Mar-a-Lago as 60 Minutes aired its highly anticipated interview with Stormy Daniels.
I'm not 100% sure on why you're doing this.
Because it was very important to me to be able to defend myself.
The adult film star laid out the details of her alleged 2006 affair with Trump.
And you had sex with him?
Yes.
She says she was intimidated in an attempt to keep her from talking publicly about her one-time sexual encounter.
And a guy walked up on me and said to me, "Leave Trump alone, forget the story." And then he leaned around and looked at my daughter and said, "A beautiful little girl, it'd be a shame if something happened to her mom." And then he was gone.
Daniels got a $130,000 payment from Trump's lawyer to stay silent days before the 2016 election, which may be considered an illegal campaign contribution. And she signed a non-disclosure agreement, but she's tried to invalidate that. Trump denies the allegations, as many evangelical leaders stand behind him. Family Research Council President Tony Perkins telling CBN News Trump should be judged on his behavior and accomplishments in office.
Well, to date, what has the president done? Well, the president has not engaged, to our knowledge, and I think we would know, any of the behavior that he did in the past prior to the election. What he has done is he's actually followed through on political promises.
And it remains to be seen what political impact, if any, the Daniels story will have. And Washington has also been talking about another major development here, the huge spending bill the president grudgingly signed Friday after threatening to veto it, something he defended Sunday, tweeting that it restores our military, creates jobs, and includes money for the border wall. But many conservatives are blasting the $1.3 trillion measure, which more Democrats in the Senate voted for than Republicans. Trump says he had to do it, but he promises it was a one-time deal.
I will never sign another bill like this again. I'm not going to do it again.
Conservatives not only worry about this spending bill, but many point out the national deficit is expected to start growing again. The national debt could go from $21 to $30 trillion in the next several years. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Thanks, Jenna. Just think of that, 30 trillion, maybe as high as $40 trillion. Will there come a time, and I think it will, ladies and gentlemen, if there's one area that the United States can falter, that is in this overspending. The people, the Congress just acts like money just comes out of some magic and it's just going to keep on flowing. Well, it won't. And sooner or later, you have to pay off your debts, or you go into default, or you default on all these huge loans that are out there, and suddenly your faith and credit is gone, and people won't loan you money anymore. And then the country has to be in an austerity mode that is going to be very painful for everybody. It's a question of how soon the chickens, if you will come home to roost. And it's going to be sooner than you think. Well, in other news, the Trump administration and China are trying to find some solutions to stop the threat of a trade war. So maybe the president's bluff and bluster is working. John Jessup has that.
Well, Pat, the two countries are trying to ease trade tensions after the president imposed sanctions on China over its trade practices. China and the United States are quietly negotiating to improve American access to Chinese markets. The Wall Street Journal reports Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and the U.S. Trade Representative here in Washington are leading the talks from the American side. The U.S. wants China to cut tariffs on American cars and for U.S. businesses to have greater access to China's financial sector. The stock market sold off heavily at the end of last week, in part over concerns of a growing trade battle between the U.S. and China, although many analysts expected the market to rebound. Well, after hundreds of thousands of students rallied across the country Saturday demanding tougher gun laws, will there be any lasting political impact? March for Our Lives marked the largest youth-led protest since the Vietnam War era. Teenage demonstrators demanded an end to gun violence and mass school shootings, and they promised to vote out lawmakers who refused to take a stand on gun control.
6 minutes and about 20 seconds. In a little over 6 minutes, 17 of our friends were taken from us, 15 were injured, and everyone, absolutely everyone, in the Douglas community was forever altered. Everyone who was there understands. Everyone who has been touched by the cold grip of gun violence understands.
Analysts question how long the students will be able to keep up their political momentum. Early estimates put the crowd size here in Washington at 500,000 to 600,000, but CBS reports one analytical firm said it was closer to 200,000. And Pat, with 800 events both here in the United States and internationally, still a strong showing.
Well, I congratulate these young people on the stand of this nature. God bless them. The truth is, though, that gun control is not going to stop the violence. There are about 300 million guns in the possession of people right now. What they really need, of course, this bump stock bill is important so we won't have automatic weapons and these shooters. But what has been suggested is probably the answer is to have people on the other side that are armed. These terrorists are cowards, and they only want to shoot unarmed people. And all of a sudden, if the people begin shooting back and they get killed, then they won't want to do it as much. And, you know, we've talked about peace through strength, and you want to have peace, the best way to do it is to have strength. And, but the idea of restricting gun purchases, I mean, it's not going to do any good. But again, I congratulate these students from getting out and protesting. God bless them. It's a good step forward in our democracy. John?
Pat, President Trump has issued an order bolstering his move to ban most transgender troops serving in the military except under, quote, limited circumstances. His decision is expected to face legal challenges. In a memo to the president, Defense Secretary Jim Mattis pointed to what he called substantial risks with allowing military personnel who want treatment to change their gender or question their gender identity. But civil rights advocates say they'll fight the move, which could go to the Supreme Court. Well, American adults are fatter than ever. Nearly 40% of adults are now classified as obese, according to a new report in the Journal of the American Medical Association. The report also says nearly 8% qualify as severely obese. That comes as another new study indicates obese people die younger. Reuters reports it also showed that even people who are just considered overweight are more likely to have heart disease. Obesity and being overweight have also been linked to a variety of other diseases, including diabetes and some types of cancer. Pat, this is no new news for you.
It's no news, but ladies and gentlemen, we've got to change what we eat. You know, if we just eat fruit and vegetables and stop eating processed food. But you look at the big killer, in my opinion, is high fructose corn syrup, which is in almost everything. I got a little container of applesauce. I like applesauce. And lo and behold, I was reading the label, high fructose corn syrup in the applesauce. Well, it's in everything. And you don't have to have too many hamburgers, too many French fries, too many of these fast foods, and all the things that go along with it. And the next thing you know, you're obese. And all they have to do is start eating fresh fruits and vegetables, and all of a sudden the weight will go off. But Terry, it's terrible. 40% of adults are now overweight in America.
Well, we're also a very sedentary society.
Yeah.
You know, we sit a lot, so people are wearing Fitbits and trying to stand up at the right time, move at the right time, and eat differently. It really requires a lifestyle
all
change.
you got to do is work out about 20 minutes a day or something like that. But I'm a great fan of the Total Gym. I think that is the most wonderful thing. You get on that thing, and they've got 70 different exercises that are available. So you can do bicep curls, you can do squats, you can do all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy, you don't have to go looking at other things. But it's just this diet thing. And when you go to a grocery store, go around the outer edge, and that's where they have the fruits and the vegetables.
Avoid the middle.
Avoid the middle.
In every way.
But it's so simple, and the weight goes off like you couldn't believe it.
It's good advice.
Well, I've got good advice because I'm a living example.
You have done it, yes.
I've done it, and our producer, Edie Wasserberg, is just fantastic. How good she looks, and she's on to this: eat a pound of greens a day or something.
Wow.
Every day, every morning. I mean, a pound of all these green things.
So you're adding something new to your regimen, right?